We are kicking off today with AEW All In London, and close to 3 years after his arrival in the company, Bryan Danielson can finally call himself AEW World Champion. Bryan dethroned Swerve Strickland in the show's main event that also saw Danielson's career on the line, and we now know more about how his epic victory came to be. Fightful Select reports that Tony Khan has insisted on Danielson winning the world title, despite Bryan turning down this idea for some time before eventually giving in. The plan was always for Danielson to win the gold at All In, and plans for this victory were made as early as April of this year. Earlier this year, some fans thought AEW would go in a different direction and that it would be Will Ospreay leaving the event in his home country as the AEW World Champion. While that didn't happen, AEW sources note that there's still plenty of time for Will to headline a future All In, which is in stark contrast to Bryan, who knows his career is winding down. It was also confirmed that Danielson was indeed not in perfect condition, as several reports have noted as of late, but that didn't stop him having a great match. On the post-show media scrum, Danielson, who had his daughter Birdie on his lap, was asked about his future plans and said he's not thought about what's to come after All In. Danielson said he'll be in Champaign, Illinois this weekend for Dynamite, and said he's sure to have an announcement by then. As to what Danielson will announce, that's a mystery at this time, but what are you expecting from the future of the new AEW World Champion? Does Bryan have more left to give in the ring, or should his retirement, which we know is coming sooner than later, see him leave the mat as World Champion? Let us know in the comments. For the past 5 years, Jon Moxley has been a cornerstone of AEW, often serving as a key asset during critical times, including supporting AEW following the Brawlout 2022 incident. Moxley has shown unwavering commitment to AEW, but after losing the IWGP World title at Forbidden Door, was understandably granted time off, and fans were happy for him. With that said, here we are more than 7 weeks after that match happened, and Moxley has yet to return to AEW and even missed All In, leaving fans to wonder what's going on. While some expected Moxley to join his BCC allies in the Trios title ladder match at All In, that didn't happen, and Pac, a man with no kayfabe connection to the group, joined them instead. This booking decision has made Moxley's absence stand out that much more, but is his return to programming already being teased on screen? During last week's Dynamite, Christian Cage called Renee Paquette a bad mother, which some have taken as a sign that Jon Moxley could make his return to defend his wife's honor. According to Wade Keller, though, Moxley requested time off to heal some nagging injuries he sustained recently and is expected to return by the end of September. Once he does, Moxley will no doubt get an ovation fitting of a star of his caliber. And do you think he should feud with Cage, or would you have somebody else in mind for him? Like last year's All In event, Chris Jericho arrived in Wembley Stadium with a live music performance as he and Fozzy performed their track, Spotlight. Now, this song is by no means as popular as Judas, which fans sang in unison in Wembley last year, and this time around, the crowd had better things to do than hear Fozzy sing. As a fan on Twitter shared, a massive line for the bathroom gathered during Jericho's entrance, and his match with Hook for the FTW title wouldn't fare any better. Fans can be seen leaving their seats during the match, but despite the fans not liking the stellar showdown after months of build, Jericho and Hook delivered a hard-hitting contest. As the match came down to its final moments, Hook's father and AEW commentator Taz intervened to neutralize the threat of Jericho's Learning Tree faction. This gave Hook the chance to force Jericho to tap out and become the FTW champion for a third time in his young career. While the match did not receive a favorable reaction from the crowd, we'll have to wait and see the reviews that shall flow in following the conclusion of the grand spectacle in London. What are your thoughts on fans taking bathroom breaks collectively during the Chris Jericho vs. Hook title match at All In? Sound off in the comments. Now, the FTW title, or the World title, was originally created by Taz in 1998 during his tenure with ECW and was made to show the dominance of the human suplex machine. Personally designed with Taz in mind, it was never officially sanctioned by ECW, but gained recognition with fans due to its unique presentation and Taz's compelling aura. The title was revived in 2020, but despite getting a nice spotlight, including a match at AEW's biggest annual event, the title is still not sanctioned by the All Elite company. On the post-show media scrum, Tony Khan was asked about the gold being perceived as a joke given the comedic nature of Jericho and said that this wasn't his intention at all. "It wasn't a joke or an insult. I brought it in as a really important part of the company. It wasn't a joke or an insult. Taz didn't bring it in as an insult at all. He brought it in to represent someone who was the top pushed heel against the strongest booked best wrestler in the world at the time, which is and was Jon Moxley." Khan emphasized that the FTW title, while not officially recognized by the company, has always been valued and referenced Brian Cage, a former champion who beat many top stars. The FTW title was never intended to be a joke, it was meant to be taken seriously, and now that Hook holds the gold again, expect the second-generation star to be serious about this reign. AEW remains committed to treating the title with the respect it deserves, and what do you make of the FTW title? Will Hook make a better champion than Jericho? Sound off in the comments. At the AEW All-In 0-Hour Kickoff show, Saraya made a dramatic entrance accompanied by Harley Cameron and the Knight family, and the British star was in a sour mood. Saraya took issue with not being booked for All-In 2024, despite winning the AEW Women's World title at last year's event, and declared herself the best wrestler to come from England. This was seemingly a challenge, and Saraya was taken aback when Jamie Hayter appeared and battled through members of Saraya's entourage before she got her hands on Saraya herself. Hayter had been AEW Women's World Champion for 6 months before she dropped the title to then outcast Toni Storm while feuding at the time with Saraya and the group's Ruby Soho. Saraya's mother snuck up behind Hayter, but that was cut off when Jamie grabbed a handful of hair and delivered a forearm to sweet Saraya, but the distraction allowed her daughter an escape. Speaking during the post-AEW All-In media scrum, Saraya lashed out, declaring herself the star of the show, and said she's tired of being treated poorly and is fed up with the way things are. Saraya was particularly angry at Jamie Hayter for confronting her, feeling disrespected and embarrassed in front of her family, and threatened to beat Hayter if she tried that again. Saraya made it clear that she doesn't want any negative comments about her and emphasized her dominance by stating that AEW is her house, the same words she said upon her 2022 debut. While it's clear Saraya was hyping up an inevitable match with Hayter, she seemed genuinely upset during her rant, likely as she ultimately did not get a match inside Wembley Stadium. While the 0-Hour Kickoff show segment is better than nothing, it can't make up for having an actual match in Saraya's home country, and the spotlight was on Hayter for this segment. Hayter returned with a dramatic new look, complete with orange hair and a colorful coat, which some fans on Twitter thought was a bit too similar to another wrestler from Europe. On Twitter, Teemu Becky Lynch trended, suggesting that Hayter was some subpar imitation of the Man, akin to a "we have Becky Lynch at home" scenario. This trend gained significant traction as fans compared the two wrestlers, but neither Hayter nor Lynch have addressed the situation, and we'll have to see if Hayter's matches change minds. While some of the comments were intended as trolling, others defended Jamie Hayter, with one saying the Teemu jibe is odd as Hayter is better in every regard except for accolades. What's your take on the Teemu Becky Lynch comment? Do you think Jamie Hayter is going to prove her haters wrong? Let us know what you think in the comments section. More from AEW All-In London as Ricochet made a huge splash with his debut inside Wembley Stadium in his first appearance in any wrestling promotion since exiting WWE. The one and only entered the Casino Gauntlet match and captivated the audience with his impressive moves, quickly becoming a central figure in the bout. Ricochet entered towards the end of the match, interrupting Hangman Page as he was about to attack Karen Jarrett in a vile display by the Cowboy. Ricochet wasted no time in making an impact, as within his first minute as an all-elite talent, he hit a Gamengiri, a springboard clothesline, and a springboard shooting star press. If there was a downside to all of this, it's that Ricochet quickly fell into being just one of the entrants in the match and did not play a role in the finish, as Christian Cage pinned Kyle O'Reilly. On Twitter, AEW shared a video featuring Don Callis and Kyle Fletcher, the latter of whom also came up short in the Casino Gauntlet match. Callis made a huge challenge to Ricochet for a match on next week's episode of AEW Dynamite to face Fletcher in what'll be Ricochet's first singles match with the promotion. As exciting as this match will be, the match everyone wants to see is Ricochet versus Will Ospreay, as the pair tore the house down with their Best of the Super Junior match 8 years ago. During the post-AEW All-In media scrum, Ospreay expressed interest in seeing how Ricochet performs in AEW and is pleased to see him join, but won't be doing him any favors. Ospreay stressed that Ricochet will need to earn a shot at the AEW International title, and a win over Kyle Fletcher this week could go a long way into making that match happen. Fans are excited to see Ricochet in AEW, and do you think he'll make quick work of Kyle Fletcher on this week's upcoming edition of Dynamite? What do you think of Ricochet's debut? Will he make a significant impact for the company, or be lost in the shuffle? Share your thoughts in the comments. Since 2022, WWE has been more than willing to take its PLEs overseas, including Money in the Bank in London and Toronto, Backlash in France, and Clash at the Castle in Cardiff and Glasgow. Overseas trips have become very frequent in the Triple H era, with a whopping 8 PLEs this year taking place outside of the United States, including this week's Bash in Berlin. Just a few months from now, WWE will go to Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel and Canada for Survivor Series, as the number of PLEs based in the US is decreasing. In 2024, only Bad Blood, the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and SummerSlam are PLEs held in the States, and now we may have received a tease of another international event. WWE is currently in the midst of its latest European tour, which came to Rotterdam, Netherlands last night and saw Cody Rhodes headline the show. After retaining his undisputed WWE title against AJ Styles, Rhodes let slip about the secret reason for the show in Rotterdam and the ongoing tour, saying, "I'll let you guys in on a little secret. The reason we're doing this tour is to find out if we can come here again next year." Rhodes, talking of coming here again, hints at another international PLE, maybe even specifically in the Netherlands, and it's not hard to see why WWE are eager to return to Europe. WWE had massive success in Lyon, France with Backlash this year, and while the card itself wasn't anything memorable, the incredible crowd turned it into an epic show. WWE is likely looking to do the same next year, perhaps with a show in Rotterdam, and at last night's event, Cody wasn't done as he added, "I already said too much, I'm gonna get in trouble when I get back to my phone, but if somebody asks me if we should come back to Rotterdam, my answer is absolutely 100% hell yeah." This understandably excited the live crowd, but are you hoping for more international PLEs? Where should WWE go where they've never hosted a PLE before? Give your thoughts down below. Whatever comes, Cody Rhodes is ready to lead WWE as the face of its new era, but it seems those working in Wembley haven't forgotten about his time in AEW. On Twitter, fans at All In shared that Rhodes' theme was being played as they were led into Wembley Stadium in a fun moment for those who made the trip to the UK capital. The Young Bucks were also in action at All In as they retained their AEW World Tag Team Championships, but fans inside Wembley Stadium had a certain best in the world in mind. During the match, audible CM Punk chants could be heard as the Bucks took on FTR, a tag team who are known friends of Punk, as well as the Acclaim. Punk may have moved on from AEW, but his contentious 2 years still linger in the company, as the fans made abundantly clear during the Bucks' victory inside Wembley Stadium. As AEW's biggest event of the year, fans in the UK, Europe, and beyond paid good money to watch All In London in Wembley Stadium, excited for a stacked card of all elite talent. Tens of thousands of fans flocked to the UK capital to watch the show, but on social media, many fans inside Wembley took issue with their unfortunate viewing experience. One fan complained about paying £200, equivalent to $264, for a seat and not being able to see the action, and noted that there was a screen on every side except the one where they were sat. Another fan mentioned that even though their seats weren't bad, they struggled to see because their eyesight isn't great, and pointed out that there were large screens behind them. There were also side screens above the ring, though as this fan pointed out, they only benefit people sitting on the sides, while they were left with no screen to help them watch the show. What do you think of AEW's massive blunder when it comes to the lack of Jumbotrons for All In today? Let us know in the comments section below. AEW won't host their All In event in Wembley next year, but are bringing their Forbidden Door show to London instead, which came as a surprise to many of those in the company. While the show was officially announced during the 0-hour kickoff event, photos of promotional graphics for Forbidden Door were shared online in the days leading up to All In. Fightful Select reports that many people did not anticipate the reveal of the UK location to happen before All In took place, but the news was leaked thanks to these promotional graphics. It was also believed that the Forbidden Door location would be announced at All In, since it was taking place in Wembley Stadium, the venue speculated for Forbidden Door 2025. At this time, AEW has not confirmed where in London that Forbidden Door will take place, leaving fans to speculate that it may not be in Wembley, but rather a different venue. With the show set for August 24th of next year, AEW and New Japan have plenty of time to make announcements, and we'll have to see where in London Forbidden Door takes place. But why isn't All In taking place in Wembley next year? Well, Fightful Select reports that the decision was made due to scheduling issues rather than any external factors. If WWE were to run an event at Wembley, which has not been confirmed, it would not be the reason for AEW's change in plans, but this is instead a matter within AEW. Instead of the UK, All In 2025 will take place in Arlington, Texas next year, and fans in the United States will finally get an all-elite stadium event to call their own. MJF put his American Championship on the line against Will Ospreay at All In, but the scumbag was missing another significant piece of gold. Shortly before the event, MJF shared on Twitter that his Dynamite Diamond ring has been stolen and labeled the UK an unreal, godless, lawless country. Without his Dynamite Diamond ring, the same ring he used to dethrone Ospreay at Dynamite 250, MJF competed at All In and paid tribute to another Patriot, Lex Luger. For the bout, MJF wore trunks virtually identical to the ones Lex Luger wore during his Americana run in WWF during the late 1990s, while Will Ospreay had an Assassin's Creed-inspired entrance. All the Americana in the world couldn't save MJF though, as he tried to use some foreign object in his hand as a weapon, only to be stopped by the returning Daniel Garcia. Ospreay hit the Tiger Driver to win the match and bring back the AEW International title. And what are your thoughts on MJF vs. Ospreay 2 and MJF's Lexcellent tribute? Sound off below. On the post-show media scrum, Mercedes Moné was prepared to talk about her career in AEW, her career in wrestling as a whole, and her victory over Britt Baker that had just happened. What Moné wasn't ready to talk about is her recent divorce to Mikaze, but that didn't stop one member of the press at the media scrum from asking about her personal situation. Moné was clearly frustrated by the question as she looked around, seemingly unable to believe this was actually happening during the media scrum. The TBS champion sarcastically responded that she was not going to date the journalist who asked the question and asked them if they had something they needed to tell their wife. While Moné did share news of her divorce publicly, it's important to remember that she should get to choose how much fans know of her personal life, and many feel this crossed a line. But what do you think? Should the journalist have asked the question, or should their focus have been on Moné's match and professional career? Give your thoughts down below. In the TNT title coffin match at All In, Jack Perry and Darby Allin waged war for the gold, but it was Perry who won the match, keeping the title with the Elite. Following the match, Perry attempted to set the coffin on fire with Darby Allin still inside, and just as it seemed Darby was done for, the lights went out and Sting made a dramatic appearance. The Icon prevented Perry and the Young Bucks from further harming Darby Allin, and in a video shared to Twitter, Perry was livid about the involvement of the former WCW World Champion. Perry said that Sting had a retirement most people can only dream of, only to come back to Wembley, and said he tries to interfere again, Perry will put Sting in a coffin for good. This is quite the threat from the scapegoat, and what do you think is to come? Will we see more of Sting even if it isn't in a match? Share your thoughts in the comments down below. In the AEW Women's World Title match, Mariah May ended the reign of Toni Storm and even slapped her own mother to show just how vicious May has become. Both women were left bleeding when this was said and done, but it's time for the glamour to have the spotlight over her timeless ex-mentor. In a matter of days, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre will collide in the ring again, this time in a strap match at the WWE Bash in Berlin Premium Live event. Since Punk's return to WWE last November, McIntyre has made his issues with Punk very clear, even taking credit for costing Punk a chance to compete at WrestleMania 40. Many fans have been surprised to how Drew has changed over the past year, but if you ask the Scottish Warrior, as the Not Sam Wrestling podcast did, it's Punk who's changed. He said, "Look at the way he's evolved or devolved. He was the Punk. He was the anti-superstar. He said whatever he wanted back in the day, and I admired that part of him as much as I didn't like him. Now he toes the company line. He kisses the company's arse to justify the big contract. When I, who tried to be more of a Cena type when I was younger and do everything I possibly could. Even smile when I didn't want to. Smile and I just wanted to say, get lost, go screw yourself. And I've started saying, go screw yourself, you deserve it now. Now I've become more Punk than CM Punk, and he hates that." Whether McIntyre's comments are simply building his TV feud or his genuine beliefs or not, there are many fans who'd agree that Punk isn't the Punk he used to be. But what do you think? Does the CM in CM Punk now stand for company man? Or is he the face of anti-authority he's always been? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Back to the Rotterdam WWE live event, which saw the WWE Women's title on the line as Nia Jax faced Bayley in a SummerSlam rematch, and Nia paid tribute to WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi. During the match, Nia hit the stink face on the role model, but Bayley would later get Nia in the corner and use a bum tackle of her own against the Queen of the Ring. In the end, Jax retained the gold and will now look ahead to this Friday's SmackDown in Berlin, where she'll defend against Mi Chin in a street fight. And we're ending with that show as A-Town Down Under attempted to pose with the Bloodline, but this would-be attempt to join was rejected. Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa denied A-Town Down Under and attacked the former champions as part of an exciting tag triple threat match. It was the Bloodline who got the win, defeating A-Town Down Under and the Street Profits, begging the question as to who will be able to take the gold from the dominant group.